You're listening to The Rich Life Revolution with me, Michelle Cooper. My mission is to empower you to step into your next level of wealthy. You'll hear all the deets, a little bit of inspiration, and real life takeaways so that you can create your own rich life revolution. Let's dig in. Hey, welcome back to the Rich Life Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Cooper, and today we are diving deep into a topic that is going to shift the way you think about money, career, and stepping into your wealthy era. I'm joined by the incredible Francine, a financial powerhouse, business strategist, and the founder of Mothers to Daughters. Francine has an incredible story of walking away from a thriving corporate career in banking and financial tech to redefine wealth on her own terms. In today's episode, we're unpacking the money mindset shifts that helped her embrace abundance, the fear of leaving a stable career behind and how she overcame it, how strategic relationships can accelerate your financial growth, and her best advice for women ready to step into their wealthy era. Got your crown ready? If you've ever felt stuck, uncertain about money, or on the edge of a big leap, this conversation is for you. So let's get into it. Hey, Francine, welcome back to the Rich Life Revolution podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. I'm glad to be back.
Awesome. So you were a guest already. I think it was
November.
Yeah. So we'll put the links to the that episode in the show notes where we talked about more about your story and your journey, right? And I wanted to have you back because I think that you have some really great information to share and like a lived experience that is quite inspirational. And I want to really focus in on your relationship with money and stepping into your next level of wealth after leaving your corporate career behind, which I think a lot of our listeners are either doing or considering. So I think this is a really great conversation.
Yeah, you said it well. I think someone told me once, money's energy. And when you get money constantly, when you're in a position where you get it constantly, in a position where you have to pretty much be so strategic, keep that flow of continuous funding coming in. Like it's a bridge that can really make and break things. That's how I like to call it. Right.
Yeah.
So, growing up, I don't know if last time I mentioned this, but I think I buried some money because I was so good with savings when I was growing up. Right. I wasn't good one spending or I always was thinking, what if something happens? That's what my dad had instilled in me, and he really stayed with me for the longest time until I started making money by myself, because at that point I was given money. And when I started my college years, at that point, it was very transitional. You know how when you're in your early 20s, it's the years are very formative. And I wasn't, especially after switching the environment from Cameroon to Canada, I was still trying to figure out what that formula was for me. And when I started working, I feel like I had a glimpse of, oh, now I see why my parents were so either stingy when we were going and asking for all those things. Oh, I want this, as if it was just as easy for them to, just swipe the card or give some cash, because that's what we use the most back home. So having that in my background and getting to a place where now I'm making money, adulting, it was just it was a learning curve for me. because the environment affected me. Everyone around me was a little bit on the overspending side. So I pretty much switched from being the person that was saving the most to the person that was spending. And then I gravitated towards, wow, money doesn't fall down from the trees. You really have to. And I was in finance at that point. So I was
Mm.
always in front of clients telling them how much they had to save. And it was a lesson I was also applying myself as I was preaching, because I'm a huge believer that it's important for us, as we give those nuggets of wisdom to others, to for them to serve as a reminder of how we are, the habits we have on the daily basis when it comes to our spending habits. So I re from deviating from that foundational saving to being on the overspending, and then merging back to, um, you have to be careful. I think it was the lessons I learned is just to, you know, have goals. I think they help, especially when you look at the bigger picture as opposed to being in the moment. I think it's the in the moment culture that sometimes deviates us from being on track as far as goals are concerned. And money is a big play in that, right? It's easy to go on social media and see someone in Mexico and say, oh, I'm going to book the next trip. Do you really need to book that trip? Do you? So I think I learned a lot of that during my journey. And I'm really grateful for my career because it established that foundation. And then when it comes to now having to leave that constant flow of money to the unknown, I think it was very difficult. I was stuck in that phase for 3 years because in 2020 I knew I had the conviction. End of 2019, early 2020, I had the conviction that working for someone else was not my fate.
Mm.
And but it took 3 years to figure out in my mind how I'm going to am I going to live in fear, meaning that the comfort of what that money brings is going to keep me balanced, or I'm going to take the leap and embrace the unknown, considering that wealth, I represent wealth. Wealth is me, and wealth is my mindset. And I think that has been the biggest blessing, because it's been over a year now where I don't have that constant um, flow of funding, but it has not been the worst experience. I'm happier. My relationship
Mm.
with money has improved because, like I said, I represent the money. Money is more than financial success. It's a medley, and it's calling upon it and being empowered even without seeing it at times.
So, so you mentioned, right, like your career, right? You had a thriving career in banking and financial technology, right? You worked with Fortune 500 companies. Um, was there a turning point for you when you realized, like, uh, it's time to leave? Like, I know you said it took 3 years, probably because you're a bit of a planner, and you're kind of like mapping it out. But was there like this turning point where you kind of like looked at your life and went like, no?
Yeah, I call it the Bob moment, the epiphany. The epiphany, it was 2019. 2019, I started seeing things in ways I couldn't possibly imagine I would land on someday,
Mm-hmm.
because I was very, very driven. I was seeing myself move up the ladder. I was seeing myself being that executive that will pave the way, and I would just make my family happy, and I would just stack up all those degrees, right? I'll be a doctor eventually, I'll be this and I'll be that. So that drive was only limited to making an impact working for someone else and
Mm-hmm.
being in the corporate space, because I had aspiration to be in banking, the Bank of Canada, and the IMF, the UN. That's how I was speaking when I was 12, 13 years old. And in 2019, what happened is I had a flavor of what that life could be. And very quickly, that, in addition to words my mom had for many, many years back then, kept repeating to me about you can find freedom if you work for someone else. You have to pave that way for yourself. You have to be, because employer mentality versus employee mentality, right? It's there's a huge gap of freedom between in both spectrums. And those words started resonating more than ever, because I also found unhappiness in something I thought was a dream come true. At that time, I was working at the headquarters of the Royal Bank of Canada, and I just thought, oh my God, I used to come here and just dream of being here. And I got there and I got so unhappy, so
Mm.
unhappy. And I'm grateful because it happened so fast, because I could have dwelt on the feeling of my dream my dream came true, right? There's just so much comfort that comes with um having envision yourself somewhere and actually being there, living it. Um, and from that point on, I told myself there has to be more than this. I can't believe this dream is now turning into a nightmare. This is not
Mm.
how I'm envisioning my life. And that was the click for me.
So interesting, because I think so many people, like we have these big dreams, right? We have this vision that we kind of are planning, and then along the way, I don't know, maybe things change, or it's not all it's cracked up to be, or, the reality of the situation is not what we thought it was going to be. Right. And so I think it's really brave and courageous to pivot. And even, I'm kind of supporting my eldest daughter on this right now, because she's just graduated from university with a degree in criminology. And then she's like, she doesn't want to go to law school now. And she's trying to figure out, like, what does she want to do? And then she said to me, Mom, there's people who have degrees and stuff, and they don't even have a job in that area. Like, she thought, I'm on this path, and so this is what I have to do. And it's not
Right.
feeling so great. Right. And so I'm like, well, the best thing to do is just to try a bunch of stuff. Like, who cares? Right. You're young. Doesn't
Right.
matter.
Being open-minded, it's such a blessing, because society puts us in a box. There's a
Yeah.
way of doing things. There's like, this is plan A, this is plan B, and this is plan C. And I think for you as a mom, it's so critical to just present those options and keep really directing her towards, tap into your wants, your dreams, and don't just get stuck with, because you've done criminology, law is your future, right? Because that's something that may not be for you. It may not be your calling, your purpose in life. Like, I think for
Yeah.
her at that age, starting to think about what's my purpose, it will grow, obviously, but like, those are like such great questions, because that's how you land. Now that I'm in this social impact work, I can still leverage my financial background in different ways, but I didn't need to have an MBA to be in the social impact space. The
Hmm.
people are doing incredible out there, and they don't need to have that in their back pocket, right? So
Yeah.
there's just, steering clear from the commonality and the industry standards that we oftentimes limit ourselves with. It's really a good way to challenge that status quo.
Mm. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. I think that, leaving behind like that stable corporate career to build something new, which you've done, takes a lot of courage. As I said, I think you're incredibly brave. And it also takes a strong money mindset, right? And you talked about how you shifted through some of your beliefs, but what were some of the biggest money beliefs that you had to unlearn? And how did you shift your mindset to embrace abundance and kind of the concept that money is limitless?
I think when I like how you said the things you had to unlearn, because it's so easy in our society, in our world, to always want to learn things. And speaking of learning, that's my meditation this whole week. Um, into what am I learning? Where do I need better understanding, whether it's from people, whether it's from the things that I invest myself with. But unlearning is also a big part of it, and relearning is a big part of it. I think what I
Mm-hmm.
had to unlearn, especially back to my foundation, was just allowing myself to also be on the extreme of spending, just to
Mm-hmm.
see how it feels. And because it hurt me,
Right.
when you find yourself in college with a credit card that's almost maxed out, I had now to go back to relearning that discipline matters, but in a way that's more authentic, organic, and not because mom or dad told me to do this. It's also what we call going through those growing pains and having to experience it yourself, as opposed to just um, you know, remembering what you were told, which is great, but we preach that at Mothers to Daughters. We want daughters to know they have the wisdom of mothers, but they are also allowed to make their own mistakes. So I
Mm-hmm.
think I had to unlearn that part, and then also unlearning how very critical it is to just see in money certain roles and titles.
Right.
Speaking of the corporate world, for me, being in the corporate world was, oh, when you get to a VP role, of course, there's just so much attached to it when it comes to money. But what
Mm-hmm.
you had to give up when it came to that would be your time and your lifestyle at times, right? I had
Mm-hmm.
to unlearn that title equals happiness, because the title in a corporate space will mean more money, right? That's not what happiness is reduced to.
Right.
And it just really helped tap from within and embrace and focus more on that character building and knowing what you deserve, being reminded of what you deserve, having the community that brings that abundance mentality, and telling yourself, affirmations work, manifestation work. Someone told me a few months ago, Francine, I think you should do courses on manifestation because pretty much everything I want, I get.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Yeah.
comes from the work that you do from a soul searching standpoint, and how the convictions that you have, the confidence that you have, the belief in what you bring to the picture. No one can tell you otherwise. You know who you are. So identity has such a huge role in how you go about abundance. And I know you think the same, which
Oh,
is why
totally.
you have this podcast.
And it's why
Yeah,
we're friends,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think like you and I met, I was just telling this story today to somebody where I said I sat across the table from an amazing woman that I didn't know, and I ended up on her board of directors. um, and I think that you're a master. One of the things you're a master of is strategic business relationships, right? Or maybe strategic relationships, right? Like
Yeah,
um, using relationships and your relationship building skills to move the needle forward in the things that are important to you, right?
thank you.
Um, how have partnerships and connections played a role in your financial evolution?
Well, you said it. I love the example that you took on how we met and the friendship we've developed and the impact we're now making together for women. It it really generally starts with a hello, right?
Yeah.
A hello that stays consistent in even if it's a month or two from now, saying another hello. I think it takes a lot of intentionality. It's not always agenda driven because I really truly connected with you just because of the energy you exuded at that time. Whether or
Hmm.
not it lands in working together or not, I think coming from that place of intention always matters when it comes to strategic partnerships. And sometimes alignment can be seen instantly. Sometimes it's something that needs to be nurtured over the course of a few months, weeks, years, even.
Right.
When you think about what we just got with branded cities, I went to this gathering nearly 2 years ago, and I met this gentleman. And from that hello, I showed kindness to him. It wasn't necessarily looking like money, right?
Right.
If I were
Right.
to look at him and say, oh, who's this person talking to me? But I just took someone that showed interest in the things that I was doing as much as I was interested in him. And from there, that's building a relationship. 6 months later, I start being invited to some TIFF events. He provides free tickets. He's wanting to give me certain things that I may have wanted, but didn't necessarily pursue actively. But he met me there. He met me halfway. To fast forward, giving us an opportunity to have over 30,000 word of ads, with the showcase on Dundas Square and exhibition
Totally.
place. That's really how partnerships work. Sometimes it's money that will come in your hands, or sometimes it's the value that goes into what that money, what that represents. So I think whether it's been in my career or in my day to day, I just believe in the potential of people to I just believe in the potential of people and their intentions as well, while being prudent and cautious,
Hmm.
because you never know what you will come across, the type of energy you come across. But I think through growing pains, you end up understanding and knowing how to discern the type of relationships that you aim to nurture. And back to what I was telling you about what your daughter is going through now, knowing your purpose in life, knowing what means alignment to you will help those strategic partnerships just merge naturally. And sometimes it's a season in your life. Not
Mm.
all of them are meant to be there forever as well. And it's really learning that. And sometimes you receive a phone call, like one I received. I remember when I was leaving from Ottawa to Toronto, a woman I had formed a relationship with that was finding me my next job, right? In a city I had dreamt of.
Mm.
Very,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I've had all forms of strategic partnerships, turning into financial benefit. And I'm grateful. I'm saying that with a lot of gratitude, but it takes a lot of intention.
It does take intention, right? And I think, like you mentioned, it was the energy that, you picked up from me. And I think that's a really important piece is um, when we're out in the world, how we show up, the intention of how we're showing up. And like I always say to myself, as I'm, going out into the world, like say we met at an event, right?
Mhm.
Which can feel sometimes intimidating to go to if you're on your own, right? Um, I'm just here to meet great people,
Yeah.
right? And I know I'm a magnet for what I'm putting out there. So if I'm coming with really authentic, high vibe energy, that's who I'm going to connect with, right?
Yes.
And that's who I'm going to have conversations with. And sometimes those conversations lead to awesome things that happen. And like you said, there's a season or sometimes a reason, right? It could be, I've had things where, people just dropped a nugget of info or a connection or a book or something into my awareness. And I'm like, oh, hang on, right? Like, well, that was just worth showing up just to get that,
Yeah.
right?
I came for
So,
this one thing, like I always say, because I do a lot of networking events, on the hunt for funding. So I'm always where there could be a potential. That's pretty, it's much more strategic, my presence in those events, but nonetheless, sometimes you don't get what you wanted, but like you said, you get this one nugget and people will say, so was that event worth it? I said, yeah, it definitely was. Whether the strategic goal was attained, or I made a new friend that now will introduce me to other people. That matters. People matter. No
Yeah.
matter how they look. No matter, they don't need to look like money as per the world, right? Because I think that's where I see a lot of people around me make mistakes. I've been told by some of my girlfriends in the past, how can you even talk to someone like that? I've been told that, but I always look at them and I pause and I say, you don't understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. So, like there's this whole kind of thing out there in social media about like, our whatever era, our rich girl era, our single girl era, our party girl era. I don't know, whatever era people want to be in. I think about, like our wealthy era, right? Because there's, I think, a lot of women who are right on the edge of stepping into their next level of wealth,
Yeah.
right? Whether that means starting a business or investing, maybe creating a real estate empire or leaving behind something or someone even that no longer serves them, right? For you, what's your best piece of advice you could give to somebody who's at that place in their life?
I will say go for it and trust your
Right?
intuition. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
women are blessed to naturally have an intuition that's so acute. Men don't even know how to come close to half 100% to it, right? They just don't understand it. They can't, but we do have this ability to leverage our right brain, like Jennifer Jane Young will say.
Mm-hmm.
Leveraging your right brain can be your biggest blessing
Yeah,
when you start knowing when, how, and what you actually leverage it for.
I love
Because I
that.
think those emotions or those, sixth sense that you will get and that firm conviction that no one around you will understand, it comes from within, it comes with a purpose. And I think it's sometimes pausing as opposed to giving into fear. Because being in that era, the stepping up era, or the wealth era, comes with a lot of fighting against nature. It's like a battle, right? You have to
Mm,
brave through, you have to um, close that mental chatter. I mean, shut that mental chatter and say, I will go with what I truly believe in and stop telling me that I'm not enough.
right,
Yeah.
right. That's awesome. Well, this is such a great conversation. And I really want to thank you for taking the time to share your gold nuggets with our listeners and your
Thank you.
experience and all that you're doing. Of course, you are the creator, the founder of Mothers to Daughters. And that's an incredible organization that's doing amazing work in the world. And so we're going to have the links to everything Francine in the show notes so people can get in touch with you. On social media, where do you like to hang out the most?
Where do I like to hang out the most on social media? I am not a social media person, but if I were to pick something, I'll probably say Snapchat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
There you
because
go.
I've had Snapchat for 13 years. In
Wow.
2012, when it wasn't even a thing, right? Where you literally had to take this silly picture and write with your hands what you wanted to say to your friend. It
Oh
was
my
not
God.
mainstream at all. So I've always had a special attachment to it, no matter if I don't post, but lately I will go, every now and then and just see what's happening because it brings such
Nice.
fond memories of me when I was in my 20s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. That's awesome. So good. Thank you so much,
You're
Francine.
welcome.
Appreciate
I love
you.
the question.
You're amazing. You're
You
amazing.
too. Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
So great chatting and engaging your listeners. Yeah, I look forward to doing more of this.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll let you guys go and check out Francine. She's full of amazingness. Wow, what an inspiring conversation with Francine. I love the way she reframed wealth, not just as money, but as a mindset and a way of being. My biggest takeaway: wealth is limitless when you believe in yourself, trust your intuition, and surround yourself with the right people. Amen, sister. If this episode spoke to you, tag me and Francine on social media. We'd love to hear your biggest aha moment. And if you're stepping into your wealthy area, drop a crown in the comments or send me a DM. Don't forget to check out the show notes for links to connect with Francine and learn more about her work with mothers to daughters. If you love this episode, be sure to subscribe, do a girl a solid and leave a review, and share it with friends who need to hear this today. Until next time, keep stepping into your power, creating your version of your rich life, and remember, you were made for more. See you next week. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you got at least one gold nugget today. Be sure to grab your copy of the Rich Life Revolution workbook to help you set the foundation for your next level of wealthy. Get it now at richliferevolution.ca, and I'll see you later.